You decide 2014, and the candidates for governor will have their final debate tonight. Governor Rick Scott going up against Democratic contender Charlie Crist in Jacksonville this time. A new Rasmussen poll shows them neck and neck once again. In this poll, and they did likely voters, 47% of the vote each, but they didn't do some third parties in this one. So joining me this morning to talk is political analyst Frank Torres and Democratic analyst Jason Henry. Guys, always good to see you. Appreciate you coming in. Talked to him last hour, so I'll start with you here. What are your thoughts going into tonight? What does each side need to do here to pull out a victory?
Let's just make sure there are no fans involved tonight.
We talked about that. Will there be any discussion about Fangate tonight?
I think you have to, right?
You got to address it. I think you have to address it.
It pretty much dominated every single headline coming out of the last debate. But for Charlie Crist, I think he just needs to hit home on what he wants to do for Floridians instead of talking about what Rick Scott hasn't done.
What about you?
I think that Rick Scott needs to do what Marco Rubio did to Charlie Crist in 2010. That's talk about his change, his evolution of thoughts or flip-flopping with the issues. He needs to jump the moderator. He needs to be aggressive, move past this Fangate thing, and make a strong case in his last debate.
But we know this, and Rick Scott's people know this too. Right. He's not a great debater. He's not a great public speaker. We all know that. So how does he effectively do that when he sometimes has troubles making his points like that?
He's going to have to move out of his comfort zone. He's going to have to reach over there and said, hey, a couple years ago, you were an independent. A few years before that, you ran as a Republican. Who are you now? Do the voters even know who you are? He's going to have to be out of character more than you've seen him in the past.
If you could get a stand-in for Rick Scott, it'd be better. Because
he's not good, and most people admit his people admit that. He's
Absolutely.
not good at this.
That's why it seems that Charlie Crist is winning these debates, because he's such a great retail politician that you just don't get that from Rick Scott.
Like we said earlier, though, okay, you've hashed out everything. People know the ads, they know the policies, they know the issues, they're out there everywhere, and still you're neck and neck. What's going to be the deciding factor here?
Fangate, maybe? At this point, people are just looking.
You kind of say that as a joke, but I think that's all people are remembering right now.
Absolutely. You need some type of issue that people can hold on to, and I think just for this campaign, because it's been so negative, people haven't found that, and it's been too noisy for people to actually latch on to something.
Is there an October surprise?
No, there isn't an October surprise, but the fact that people have only clung on to Fangate is a reason why both candidates need to pull out the stops tonight. They really need to set the bar up to an extra level, because right now this is all they're talking. Fangate is all anybody's talking about. It's making the governor's race look a little bit silly. Come out tonight and go at it. Make a strong closing statement to the voters.
Colbert and Jon Stewart make fun of you then.
Right. And this one's on CNN tonight. Now, very quickly here, it's going to come down to voter turnout again. We all know that at this point. So what's it going to take for these guys to rally? Is it just last-second push, last-second phone calls?
Republicans are up about 10 percentage points in absentee ballot returns. Democrats
what was the number again?
10 percentage points.
Republicans are up?
And Democrats are going to have to hit it hard in early voting.
Okay.
Rick Scott's people are going to be there. They're waiting for this. They're a dependable block of voters. It's Charlie Crist's voters, that block of blue voters during midterms that have problems getting there. But if he can turn them out, he's going to win this race.
I have to address this very quickly, or I'll get a bunch of emails. The third-party candidate, Adrian Wiley, is not invited to the debate. But his people called us yesterday. They called you as well, probably called you, and said, we're going to be there. What's going to happen with him?
He can cheer for Rick or Charlie from the stands.
Not going to make too much noise?
I admire their passion, but they're not ready. That strain of thought hasn't matured yet, and it's going to be a couple years before a Libertarian can be competitive in a statewide race here in Florida.
All right, fellas. Thanks so much. Always good to see you. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Frank Torres, Jason Henry.